So
I
you
think
can just run
most.
across the border and come get like your heart transplant surgery here?
Well, I don't think you're going to make the border crossing on a bad heart.
Depends on how bad your heart is, dude. You're not a doctor.
It's a fair point. This is Left Mike. You can follow me along on Twitter at Debate Left Mike. I'm here with the grandiose, the lovely, the wonderful Right Mike. What's up, buddy? How are you, man?
Lot of adjectives. Appreciate
A
those,
lot of
buddy.
yeah,
I'm doing
right.
fantastic. Thanks for asking. You can find me all over the place at Debate Right Mike, of course, on the Twitter, the MySpace, but big on
The
MySpace these
MySpace.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can find us pretty much everywhere on all platforms now. So if you want to listen to our podcast on iTunes, whatever, you want to subscribe, we would greatly appreciate your guys' support. We are currently the fastest growing political podcast. So we're trying to hang on to that title for as
As
long
long
as
as
we
possible.
can. Yeah, we'll see. And our website, of course, is leftmike.rightmike.com. We already have our Patreon VIP club. So if you guys want to support us on Patreon and join our VIP club and get in some
Do
extra
it. I
perks,
dare you.
yeah,
I dare you to do that.
I double dog dare you to do that.
Very cool. Yeah, with all your favorite platforms. If there's a platform that you have that we're not on, jump on the website, send us a note in our contact form, let us know.
We will not ignore it.
We will not ignore it. We will get there and continue to be the internet's fastest growing podcast.
Political podcast, yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, it's good. So all right. So today's episode is get to know the hosts. So we are going to do a little back and forth here, so you can learn a little bit about each of us and why we think the things that we do. I'll preface that by saying, and Mike, if you want to add anything, the reason that we came to do this show was Mike and I met each other about 4 years ago, and over the course of becoming colleagues and friends and roommates and eventually co-hosts, the exchanges that we had in political debates were good. We both remained based in fact. We both respected each other's ideas, even though we were coming from the other side. And we kind of want to show that that's possible, that two people with very different ideas can do that. Agreed?
Yeah, most of our conversations are really, really fruitful because neither one of us is actually going into it trying to prove the other one wrong. We're both pretty much, you could check a box on conservative versus liberal beliefs, and we'll fit our boxes really, really well.
Really neatly.
Yeah, well, especially for a libertarian for me, because I have a lot of socially progressive views, but I still policy-wise wouldn't be socially progressive because a lot of the policies there I wouldn't be for since I'm a small government guy basically. But we don't go into conversations trying to prove the other one wrong. We actually are legitimately talking things out. We're working through the problems together and proposing different points of view. And I've moved a lot closer to the left since I've gotten to know Mike, and I actually know that he's moved a lot closer to the right on some things as well.
I'll say I respect the right more. I respect viewpoints from the right. I don't know how far I've moved.
You start getting a couple of those fat paychecks, and you're like, I don't know about all these taxes.
Yeah. all of a sudden, all this government.
You try to go to Walmart shopping on the first of the month, and your food stamp goals will change dramatically.
Jesus. The white privilege that just hung over that conversation.
There's more white people on food stamps than black people.
So that's true. I'm glad you know that.
It's not a race thing, man. I don't play identity politics. It's an income
thing. All right. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna do an interview of Mr. Right Mike over there and push him a little bit to see if we can get him to say some silly conservative things. But we'll start off with the easy stuff. Baby Right Mike. Where did he come from? Where'd you grow up?
He was birthed from a womb in Cleveland, Ohio. So I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Grew up in Northwest Ohio. Graduated from high school there. Did my bachelor's at Bowling Green State University. Got a finance degree there in 2010.
That's in Kentucky, right? Kentucky?
Yeah, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Just a couple hours north of there in Ohio, actually.
Okay.
Toledo area. So if you ever catch a hint of that Northwest or Midwest, Northwest Ohio or Midwest accent, that's where it comes from, is being born in Cleveland and growing up in Ohio most of my life. I'm pretty good about it, though. It's not too bad.
I assume that, in such a intellectually deep part of the country that you crawled out of the Fox News shadow. Were your parents like super right wing? Is that why you're here?
Not at all. My parents are both really Democrats. So
Democrats?
Yeah.
Are they upset with you? Are they angry?
No, they don't know much about politics like most Democrats. So they don't really They don't really
All right.
engage in. My dad's actually moved. I thought he had
Left
moved
among
more
pigs
far
and
to the
the
right,
elk.
but he didn't vote for Trump. My mom didn't vote for Trump either.
Okay.
So I'm the only Trump voter I know in my family. So Thanksgiving is so much fun.
So much fun.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're like building a wall around you. So that's interesting.
No, because
So
I'm not here illegally. So that doesn't
right,
doesn't
citizenship.
really,
So
that doesn't connect.
so college, graduated finance.
Moved to
What
Florida, and
would you
that's where I
say-
met you. That's where
Yeah,
German
yeah,
Mike met you.
Florida. What German Mike? What
We got to
so
get that guy on the show someday, man. German Mike.
You think we can afford him?
We can talk to his agent and find out.
Yeah, right. So in college, what was the most important class or the most crucial class that you had in college? What kind of turned your views the most?
That's almost definitely going to be Econ 101. I was going to say calculus because I had a really attractive calculus teacher, and she used to wear shorts that
What
or
was
shirts
her
that
name?
I don't
Gotta
remember.
drop the name.
Well,
come on.
I can't say it anyway if I could remember. But if you in 2007 were a calculus professor that was actually like a PhD student at BGSU, go ahead and hit me up. But it was Econ 101. One of my first days in that class. This might take some people off. He was talking about this article one of the first days because he was explaining to us opportunity costs, and he was explaining it about this article where they were saying the average woman the average homemaker should get $110,000 a year or something. That's what they're worth. And he said, and they broke it down because they looked at how many hours of childcare they provide. They looked at all the different things that a homemaker does, and they looked at what those individual jobs paid for the hours that they did them, and it was legitimately like 110 grand. And then he goes, now who can tell me why that's totally wrong? And I shot my hand up because I got it right away out because he explained what opportunity cost was. And I was like, oh, because if they couldn't find someone to go out and hire them for that, then they're not worth that. He's like, exactly. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I really liked to explain things through that explain political things through that economic lens, where I'm just trying to look at it as factually as possible. I'm going to study data. When there's data in a study, I'm going to look where that data came from and how that study was performed. So I got super interested in econ. Absolutely, absolutely loved it.
All right, well, so go with that. So with that, if you had to name just a couple of people who were your greatest influencers when it comes to ideas and policy, who would they be?
Thomas Sowell, number one. Number two, probably Milton Friedman. And then getting up there, possibly number three at this point, Jordan B. Peterson. The Toronto.
Was there a black person in there?
Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell. He's my number one.
Unbelievable. That's progress.
I thought about getting a Thomas Sowell tattoo, but not really my thing. But otherwise, if I was going to get somebody's tattoo, it would be Thomas Sowell. I really want to meet him. He's like my hero.
So with how would you, in 50 words or less, describe who you are politically? What is your stance in brief?
I consider myself a classic liberal. So I believe in freedom. I don't believe in the same. Libertarians kind of go back and forth between there's the super, super, super small government libertarians, which they're libertarians, and then there's these weird, not so libertarians, and the party just doesn't seem that organized. You could call me a libertarian. I prefer to think of myself as a classical liberal. I'm a very small government person, but I'm fine with government, especially the small local government. So a small federal government, definitely, but I'm fine with the states doing almost anything they want, or even want to go smaller than that.
I want to revisit that at a later time.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting question and argument on how to deal with that.
Socially liberal, fiscally conservative.
There you have it.
Do what you want, but don't take my money to pay for it.
All right. And in this great nation that we call America, what do you think is the greatest thing about the United States in 2018?
Freedom. I mean, it sounds silly, but America, freedom. Seriously. So freedom of speech by itself. I mean, our freedoms in general that we kind of take for granted. But the fact that I can say whatever I want within reason, and I'm will face repercussions depending on what I say, but that's fine, right? That's the free market.
But the government's not coming for you.
Yeah, but I mean, look in UK what happened to Tommy Robinson, where he got locked up for violating. They don't have freedom of speech there. They don't have freedom of the press. So their freedoms they don't have.
It's more restricted.
People get locked up for
That's a
hate
weird
speech
story.
Stuff.
Well, yeah, well.
So
He was told not to.
honestly, our biggest strength is still that we are relatively free.
All right, and the other side of the coin, the horse's ass. What is America's greatest problem right now?
Entitlement spending.
Come on.
Seriously, entitlement spending includes
You're
Social
so
Security and Medicare, and
cliche.
Medicaid.
You're so
That's the
cliche.
majority.
All right.
That's the majority of the federal budget, and it's insolvent. It's not going anywhere good.
Yeah,
We can't just invent
all
new
right.
math or print more money. We're doing that a little bit, but
Or maybe stop stealing from Social Security so it's there. Maybe don't have
the system would not be
don't
solvent.
rob it.
It's a forced insurance system, and it does. There's what you get in what you get has almost no relation to what you paid. It's insane.
Right, there's a better way to fix that than gutting it, but that's fine if you think that. And so with that said, where do you think America is going? What path are we on?
We are going to become increasingly non-competitive in the global economy. We're going to see countries like China eclipse us basically as a world power. But the direction that we're heading, as far as taxation, as far as government spending, the national debt, I just don't see us heading anywhere good. So I think it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and it might end up in almost like a Civil War II type situation. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
All right, and in conclusion, if you had 25 words that you want to add to that before we flip the script and you do me, what would you add?
I'm not good at math, so I can't count that high. Where did you grow
That
up?
makes sense. I'm Canadian. I was born and raised just outside of Toronto, Canada, a little place called Mississauga, and went to high school there, and moved to Florida to go to USF, University of South Florida, and studied finance there.
When
Moved
did you
in
graduate from
2000,
USF?
2012, I think, 13, somewhere in there.
I thought you were in school when I met you.
I might have been just finishing. It was probably 14 then.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
December 14. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so finance degree from there. I'm a naturalized natural born citizen, just like Ted Cruz, which means I can even be president in a few years here. And I didn't have to light my passport on fire in a show of faux patriotism to do it. My Canadian passport.
Take a jab
Ted-
at Ted Cruz for no reason.
Ted Cruz.
Good guy. Ted Cruz strikes me as a
every
really
time.
good dude. I like Ted Cruz. I was a
He-
Ted Cruz supporter.
He looks like he's always shitting his pants.
Yeah, he's
Just
probably last.
always.
He's probably last to get picked on the playground for volleyball or whatever, or dodgeball. But he's still. I think he's a smart guy, and I think he cares.
All right, fair enough.
What would you say is the most important class you took in college?
Probably, actually, it was probably a toss-up between macroeconomics because of so much of my ideas and all of that do stem from economic policy. And the reason that I'm a socialist or a democratic socialist is fiscal policy. I think that we're on the edge of calamity without a good dose of socialism. The other one I would
socialism
say
cures
is
everything. Look at Venezuela. Worked out great for
yeah,
them.
yeah, oh, yeah. It
Were
had
your
nothing to do with the corruption.
parents political? Did they raise you to be a brainwashed left-wing libtard
They
socialist?
did not. I have actually no idea who they voted for ever. I know they probably didn't vote for Trump this way, but pretty much political free. I became political.
Can we call them to find out?
I don't think she knows.
Well, that's not worth it then.
Yeah, I don't think she knows. But no, I moved here, and what really polarized me was the Bush administration and all the false narratives that were being pushed there, and the number of people that were believing it. So I pulled back left. And Canada is obviously more socialist than America and more free, so that helped. So I know you hate it. Hate it.
So aside from like Stalin and Mao, who are your biggest idols or influences?
Stalin and Mao. That's amazing. So Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is going to be my guy. I think he's
Alexander the Great,
intellectual.
maybe, I don't know.
the intellectual of our generation is Chomsky. The fact that no one knows who Chomsky is, but everyone knows who Kim Kardashian is, makes me want to stab myself in the eyeballs.
I'm the total opposite. I don't really know who Kim Kardashian is. I know there's like a show about her or something.
Well, I'm proud of you.
And I know
That's
that
good.
she has like a big butt, I think.
She does have a large buttocks.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't
Chomsky.
pick her out of a lineup.
Well, good. Robert. A lot of men could, so that's surprising. Robert Reich is another one, and I also like Nick Hanauer.
Big shoes to fill there.
Yeah. every time.
He's an accomplished guy.
I know. Nick Hanauer is a venture capitalist, and Warren Buffett. Both of them kind of point out that supply side economics are just theft. It's just absolute corruption at the highest level. So
That's
I like
an
those
interesting
guys.
description.
I like taxation.
It's like corporate welfare.
Theft.
Letting corporations keep more of their money is corporate welfare,
Yeah. All right.
not subsidies. I mean, subsidies you could say is corporate
So
welfare.
Reich, Chomsky,
Maybe.
and Buffett.
Great. So America, because you hate it so much, can you say
Hate it
anything
so
good
much.
about it? Are there any strengths to America?
There are not, but there can be. No, listen. I think we got the most potential in the world. We're one of the richest the countries that's ever existed.
Until socialism happens.
I think that we can do great things. The greatest thing right now, man, it's hard. I would say that we're a little bit lopsided. I don't know if I could pick a one thing.
Because of the obesity epidemic, or
Maybe the greatest thing in America right now could be Donald Trump, because he may actually inspire a groundswell of new progressives that see, that there's just fat rich people sucking off the system.
that was graphic and arousing. Where do you think America's headed without socialism? If we don't inject it full of socialism and turn it to Venezuela, which is a booming
All right,
wonderland
Jesus.
socialist
So
society.
I think capitalism and communism actually. I think they have the same end. I think the final chapter is going to be almost identical: a corrupt ruling class that collapses the middle class. I'm almost positive I'm going to drag you into an episode and do that, so I won't go into too much detail there. But I think that without significant changes, the one percenters, the one percenters are just going to eat the middle class, and there's going to be nothing left. So I'm pretty fearful of that happening.
It's always interesting to me how lefties think that there's like these groups divided up, and like this is the 1%, and then this is the middle, whatever. People are moving in and out of the 1% all the time. It's not like it's this ruling class just getting richer. It's really not.
Hard.
There's a lot of income mobility in the U.S., believe it or not.
But like less than there's ever been historically. Just fact. Just fact.
We'd have to pull it. We'd have to pull the numbers.
I can tell you that there still is, but it's harder than it's ever been. So that's.
It's better for minorities than it's ever been. So isn't that a fair trade-off if it's getting worse for other groups? Because I don't know the overall numbers, but I know it is better for minority groups, at least black and Hispanic Americans.
That's only because a generation ago it was like there was because Trump.
The Great White Hope.
The Great White Dope.
The Great White Hope.
You had the letters confused there.
That's amazing.
I think that's another good episode there. I agree in premise, but I think that the reason that is that you're coming out of such a terrible time where improvement is going to be very vast. So
okay, so let's say we hand you the rainbow-colored liberal magic wand to fix the Constitution. If you could pass an amendment, what would it be?
Whatever the opposite of Citizens United is. I think that the dark money in politics is an existential threat to the United States. I think that corporations are not people, and I think that should be explicitly spelled out in a constitutional amendment. Wolfpack is trying to get that done. A political action committee, if I can push that a little bit, to get a constitutional amendment.
So it's Wolf Political Action Committee, or is it just Wolfpack? Or is it Wolfpack Pack?
I don't think it's Wolfpack. I think it's just Wolfpack, P-A-K, I believe. Google it.
Political action, but they misspelled committee with a K.
I know. You know what? No, maybe not. Maybe it is C. You know what? I'll find out.
Yeah.
Same question.
We can put a link in the description.
Same question to you. If you had the racist red pen of Donald Trump, what? I
don't think Trump's a racist, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
I know you don't.
I don't want anything racist to happen. But I would probably create an opt-in out on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and I would let that thing collapse on its own. If you want to opt out, you'll never get benefits from it, but you also don't have to pay into it.
I think that's a terrible idea. But it's wolf-pac, wolf-pac.com, trying to get a constitutional amendment ending corporate personhood. So
I could agree with that. Then that's one of those issues that we do agree on, though. Is I don't think we really have capitalism. I think we have crony capitalism, where things are more or less being run by big business. You're buying politicians that don't really represent the interests of the people. So I would definitely be for anything that we can do to get big money out of politics. But for me, one of the biggest glaring incongruities in that left vision is you want the government to be bigger and solve more problems, but you also want the bad money to get out of the government. The reason there's so much bad money flowing into the government to control things, they're acting in their own self-interest because there is big power in the government. If the government had very limited power, why on earth would people spend millions and millions of dollars to try and buy the influence?
I really want to dive into that because I think that's one of the biggest fundamental differences on how to fix the broken system.
The government's terrible, let's make it bigger.
Largely agree that the government's the problem.
My view is the government's terrible, let's make it smaller.
Yes and no.
So let's do a little rapid fire segment where we'll talk about the issues. We'll see what our stances are. Some of them are going to be the same. Some of them are going to be different. So let's start it off. Abortion.
Pro-choice. I think we should model ourselves after Spain. If you give women access to contraceptives, they will have very few abortions as it is. And therefore, you only really need abortions when it's medically necessary. So
that's good that we already have access to contraception.
It would be exceedingly rare if we had women's health care, if we had affordable contraceptive, and not like condoms.
So can you just you're doing this long roundabout thing? Can you just agree with what my stances should be safe, legal, and rare?
Safe, legal, and rare.
Is that fair? Because that's how I feel about it. I'm pro-choice as well. And I think that's one of the problems is people, if you're pro-choice, they say you're either like pro-choice or you're pro-abortion. It's like, you're not necessarily pro-abortion if you're pro-choice. There's a difference.
Right.
There are some people that are kind of like vehemently pro-abortion, like it's a badge of honor.
I disagree with them.
Yeah.
I think that absolutely right. I think that.
Yeah. Do you want to pick the next one too?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's go with gun control.
Gun control. I'm one of the only conservatives, especially that I was in the military too, that I do believe that we need more gun control. But
Blasphemy.
I don't think anything proposed, like magazine capacity, things like that. None of that stuff is good policy. How about you?
So I'm pro gun control. Universal background checks I think are crucial.
We already have those.
No, we don't. You can sell me a gun right now. Yeah. Come on.
Private sale loophole.
The only thing I will say is although the assault weapon ban was successful, I currently do not support it because the number of Americans it kills is less than 100 people per year. I think it is a lot of liberal energy going into something that's not an assault weapon. That's not an assault. That's an assault pistol.
I can grab the AR from under my bed if you want.
That's true. So although I think that law works, I think that we're spending a lot of time fighting over 100 lives a year, dual wielding. So mostly more gun control.
Okay, but you don't want to take away the Second Amendment or anything crazy.
No, I listen, I've distanced my own personal beliefs. What I want will never happen in America, and I don't need it to happen.
Is that a total gun ban?
No, like Canada does it pretty well. I think that, you can have guns in select instances, but self-defense is a dumb reason to have a gun, and the stats show that. So we'll get into that, I'm sure. But
I'm sure.
But I have no interest, and I would not support most any confiscation measure. So when you come
trans people.
Hate
Next
mail.
Topic.
At Debate Left Mike. Trans people, I think they're fantastic. I don't know how that's an issue at all. I don't know how to respond to that rapid fire. They're citizens. They deserve to be treated with dignity and respect.
How about more specifically allowing people to transition their toddlers and put them on hormones?
No, I do not support transitioning someone that is not of the mind to transition. I think that you can start to have the conversation after puberty. And even that is precarious.
You're going to subject all those young trans female toddlers to developing Adam's apples and big burly shoulders and.
So I don't need the hateful or bigoted rhetoric behind that. I will say that I fully support trans rights. I think that in most cases, someone's is trans before the age of 18, so it's an interesting discussion to have between the parents and that individual. But in the right-wing fear-mongering stories of the 5-year-old getting transitioned, no, of course I don't support that.
I've got to say that I'm mixed on the whole trans deal. I believe that all the trans activists and stuff and the gender neutral and gender queer and all that, I think it's all BS. I think the real like documented trans person, which would be a male that believes they're a woman, that feels like they're a woman, or female brain, if you want to call it that, in a male body, and they need to take steps to change their biological sex, or not to change it, but to appear to be the other biological sex to match their gender identity.
Change their gender.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm fine with that, and vice versa, of course. But I'm not fine with there's a million genders, and I can be all in sexes, and I can be everything and nothing, and there's no biological differences between men and women. And
because then, if you opened up a restaurant, you'd have to have like 47 different bathrooms, and whatever would you do?
It's insane.
That would be terrible.
All right. You pick the next one then.
Let's go with global warming.
I love how it's climate deniers, as if there's people that deny that there's a climate. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I've actually never thought about that term.
No, you've heard people called that before, right? He's a climate denier. So I would say that I am climate change is obviously real. It's science, but the impact that
climate change denial.
The impact that man-made CO2 emissions have on climate change, of that I'm skeptical. So I don't think we should be spending billions of dollars on something that we don't even know if it's actually causing the issue. I think we need more conclusive research before we really, have this Al Gore doomsday scenario, the world's ending kind of thing. So how about you?
Yeah, it's real. It's happening. The consensus on that is way stronger than most Americans think. And it's absolutely devastating for us not to address it, especially because the only reason we're not addressing it is just the profit of a few companies. The fact that, you've lived in Florida, we should have solar power on every roof. The reason that we don't is oil companies. So those that are funding the denial part of this equation have a vested interest in selling us the same things that are causing rapid climate change. So,
we're not even seeing rapid climate change. We'll do a whole episode on climate change. That's fine.
I'm excited for you to be wrong on that week.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're really excited about me being wrong.
Let's go. All right, let's go two more. What you got?
Universal health care. I know what you're going to say, but...
Yeah. So this is interesting. You changed my opinion on this a little bit, and we'll get into it in that episode down the road. But I'm in favor of single payer healthcare. I think that every American should be covered. I don't think anyone should go bankrupt or broke.
What about illegals?
Because of illness.
Should we cover illegals?
Mostly yes.
What do you mean mostly yes? So you can just run across the border and come get like your heart transplant surgery here?
Well, I don't think you're going to make the border crossing on a bad heart.
Depends on how bad your heart is, dude. You're not a doctor.
Fair point. Mostly yes. I think that especially for children.
Great idea.
Most adults.
We'll put it on your tab.
Bill it up to the big socialist bill.
Yep.
Put it right under the free collar.
Maybe we're in Buffalo and pick up the tab then.
Yeah, maybe
because I'm sure Tech not going
to. That's how socialism works. People personally pick it up when they believe in it.
Yeah, and then the cost becomes ridiculous because everybody's sneaking into our country for free healthcare, and our healthcare system gets tanked. Good idea.
That's what happened in Canada. That's why it's grinding to a halt. I got one more. Net neutrality.
It worked just fine before. We didn't have net neutrality laws before, and things were working just fine.
So, I really thought this was like going to be an easy out. You're going to really say that we should just trust Comcast to not fuck us on this.
I would have to really, really, really dive into. We can do a whole episode on net neutrality. So no, I'm not in favor of laws promoting net neutrality. Jesus. I've gone back and forth on that one. My mind is very open on that one, but my end stance is So if you're
right now.
If your porn is gonna, I think that my data should be able to, when I'm doing my company, work, should be able to take priority over your porn habit, and my company will pay more for my faster internet. So I'm not in favor of net neutrality. Oh, I'm guessing you are.
Yeah, I mean, you just touched on the porn collection. Can't have that go to waste, right? No, I think that. It's insane to me. Just the premise is insane. I had no idea you were against net neutrality, so we'll definitely cover that, and that'll be a heated debate.
Yeah, well, that's all we have time for today, so we're bumping up against the clock here. But thank you guys so much. Please check us out. leftmike.rightmike.com. I'm at
What's
Debate Right
fun?
Mike. This is at Debate Left Mike.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you
Thanks.
next week.